from writing a book? What did you learn about
Um,
purpose while writing a book?
and I see Bridge said, "What is the principle from the book that you can give us today?"
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so that kind of answers the question that you're asking me. It's a section in the book that in the purpose section called PTSD.
Mm,
It's a section called PTSD, and then it's a section called Jacob Well, and they kind of go hand in hand. So for me, prior to knowing my purpose, prior to walking in a relationship with God, I was like used to focus on love all the time, right?
mm,
So what God showed me about myself is I had a legitimate need, but I was fulfilling it in illegitimate ways.
mm,
And what he showed on my journey is everything that I was dealing with in life was just a distraction from my purpose, right? So
mm,
the relationships I was in, the trauma that I had experienced in my life was just something that the enemy put in place to
mm,
distract me from my purpose. And one of the principles that God gave me is he said one of the greatest distractions from purpose for everybody, but especially women, is the pursuit of romantic love. And that was
wow,
my story because
wow.
you know
Mm,
the and Jacob's well, you know the story of Jacob's well is Jesus met this lady, the Samaritan lady at the well, right? And he asked
mm.
her, how many, and she was like, and he was like, yeah, you don't, and the man you living with right now is not your
It's not your
husband.
right. That's right. For sure.
And honestly, Bill, and then he told her all about herself, right? And he was like, um he, he said, like basically, like, if you drink from the well that I have, you'll never thirst again.
Right.
And God said to me, because in the world they is thirsty, right? They'll be like, girl, that girl thirsty.
Right.
And
That's perfect.
historically,
Right.
I was thirsty. I was thirsty. And then when Jesus told her
That was
all
good.
about herself, would you say, Bill?
I said that's funny though. That is, I didn't
Yeah,
see that. I
it
didn't see that.
is.
I didn't see that connection. But that's
Right, because
yeah.
what's
That's
so
real.
funny, Bill, and some people might be like, really? Because of the connotation behind the story. But who I was pre Jesus, the woman who I connect with most in the Bible is the woman at the well.
Wow.
Because Jesus told her all about herself, and then what did she go do? She went back into town and said, come see about a man who told me all about myself.
Yep.
You remember
Pretty
the
much.
story,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's who I am. That is my life, Bill. I had all these
Mm,
boyfriends who was
that's
who was
right.
not my husband,
That was a good
and what God
revelation.
showed me is that because of the trauma you had experienced in your life, you were just
Mm,
using them to numb it. And he said
mm,
it was a legitimate need that you were fulfilling in an illegitimate way. And what he
mm,
showed me is that if when we begin to heal and when we come to him to fill up those things that we are desiring in the inside, we'll never thirst again. We'll never be thirsty again. And
that's
that is
good.
what purpose did in my life. Like got me of the hunger for romance, and
Mm,
gave me this purpose thing that it's so funny. I wrote in the book. I said I remember I used to get a high off of like the honeymoon state of the relationship, and you used to get butterflies.
right.
It
Hmm.
used to
In
be
the
a high
beginning.
for me, like butterfly state. And
Hmm.
now walking in purpose, Bill, when I'm flowing in purpose, when I'm mentoring, when I'm writing, that same thing that I was chasing, that's what purpose does for me. That's what God does for me,
That's
and
good.
and I don't have to compromise myself to fulfill a legitimate need. You get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Right. No, that
So
makes sense.
so yeah. So and then as he was locking that to me, he said to me, and this is the biggest thing because it's like we all want love. I don't even mean to go on the love thing. It's just a part of my purpose. It's just a part of my purpose.
I get it. I
So
get
what
it.
God, what God, what God showed me, He said to me, Bill. He said, because, and this is, like God just all the time in here, just be me and God. He talking to me, and he said, and I put it in the book. He said, I don't put people together for love or for security or for you to get a home or in culture now. I don't put you with a man for him to buy you a Birkin bag. I put you with people for purpose. And
That's
what
good.
God showed me is He wants us to have all of that other stuff. He wants us to have security. He wants us to have companionship. He wants us to go on couples trips. But what he wants us to understand is that the way that you identify the person that He called you to is by knowing your purpose. So He told me, He said, you will recognize your husband because you'll serve his purpose and he'll serve your purpose. But if you don't identify your purpose first, you won't be able to recognize that person. That's why so many
Wow.
people get married and then wake up one day and like, I don't even like this person.
That happens
Like
all the time.
and it's so funny because years ago, Jen, I don't remember if it was either one of her college roommates or one of her coworkers was a white woman, and she told her white couples usually stay together because they look at it more, and I'm not saying this is right, it's just a principle
No,
behind it.
I
He said
understand. I get you.
they look at it as more of a business deal than a love thing, right? So when they're having trouble in the marriage, they'll stay for the kids, right? And what
Yep.
God showed me is that marriage is supposed to be mission driven, right? So when you fight, you say, we on the same team. We got
Right.
something to do. We need to hurry
Right.
up and figure this out because we have to move. And I'm single. Nobody doesn't like to take advice from single
That's so
people. So you
funny.
can speak to this.
That's so funny.
You
That's
can
funny.
speak to this more than I can speak to it. But what God told me is,
What did he
I
tell
put
you?
you together for a purpose. So you're mission driven. And when you're mission driven, you're always looking at the bigger picture. So when the petty things come up, you're like, oh no, we gotta debt this now because we got something so much bigger that we need to focus on than this. So that was kind of like my biggest takeaway from it is God showing me that because sometimes you do stuff in life and you feel guilty about it. And what God showed me is He was like, all of that you were doing was just you trying to escape something.
Wow.
And He said, it's just all of it is just a distraction from the enemy. At the end of the day, it's a distraction from the enemy to keep you away from your purpose. So